Captain Zaxthel stood on the bridge of his mighty warship and felt the familiar thrill of coming battle. The Worldbreaker was the pride of the Kethver fleet. It was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to turn a planet into dust. For 20 years, this ship had brought fear to every corner of the galaxy. The bridge was dark except for the glow of control panels. Dozens of Kethver warriors worked at their stations. Their gray skin gleamed under the lights. Their forearms moved quickly over the controls. Each warrior was trained for war from birth. Each one had fought in many battles across the stars. Zaxthel walked to the main view screen. His boots made heavy sounds on the metal floor. Through the screen, he could see the asteroid field that surrounded the human colony. Rocks as big as cities floated in the dark space. Some glowed with ice that caught the light from the distant star. "Report," Zaxthel said to his weapons officer. The officer turned all 4 of his eyes toward his captain. "So we have confirmed the location of the human colony ship. It landed on the 3rd planet 2 months ago. Our scouts say there are maybe 50,000 humans there." Zaxthel smiled. His teeth were sharp like a predator's. 50,000? That is barely worth our time. But humans are new to space. They will make good slaves for the Empire. "Sir," another officer called out, "we are getting a message from High Command." "Put it through," Zaxthel ordered. The face of Admiral Kreen appeared on the screen. The Admiral was old even by Kethver standards. Scars covered his face from 100 battles. "Captain Zaxthel, you have your orders. Take the human colony. Study their technology. Bring back prisoners for questioning." "It will be done, Admiral," Zaxthel said. "How many ships should I expect them to send against us?" Admiral Kreen laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "These humans barely have spaceflight. Maybe they will send a few converted cargo ships. Maybe they will just surrender. Either way, this should be easy for you." The message ended. Zaxthel turned back to his crew. "You heard the Admiral. This will be a simple mission. These humans have never faced the might of the Kethver Empire. They do not know what real war looks like." His tactical officer raised one hand. "Sir, I have been studying the human files. They are new to space, yes, but they come from a world with many wars. They might fight harder than we expect." Zaxthel waved the concern away. Ground warfare is different from space combat. On their planet, they fought with primitive weapons. In space, they are children playing with toys they do not understand. We have faced dozens of species. None could stand against the Worldbreaker. The captain moved to his command chair. It was built for his large frame and decorated with the skulls of his enemies. "Take us into the system, full stealth mode. I want to see what they send against us before we reveal ourselves." The Worldbreaker moved through space like a silent predator. Its engines made no sound in the vacuum. Its stealth systems hid it from most sensors. The ship slipped past the outer planets of the human system without being detected. Hours passed. The crew watched their instruments and waited for orders. Zaxthel studied the tactical displays. The human colony was on a world they called New Geneva. It looked like a garden planet with blue oceans and green land. Perfect for farming. Perfect for slaves, sir, the sensor officer called out. "I am picking up movement near the colony world. One ship has left the planet's surface." Zaxthel leaned forward in his chair. "Show me." The main screen changed to show a long-range sensor image. A single ship appeared as a white dot against the black of space. It was moving toward the asteroid field where the Worldbreaker waited. "Just one ship?" Zaxthel asked. "Are you certain?" "Yes, sir. I have scanned the entire system. There are no other military vessels, no hidden fleets. Just that one ship." The captain stood up slowly. Anger began to build in his chest. "They mock us. They send one ship against the Worldbreaker. Do they think we are children? Do they think this is a game?" His weapons officer spoke carefully. "Sir, maybe they do not know we are here. Maybe this is just a patrol ship?" "No," Zaxthel said. His voice was cold with rage. "They know we are here. Our scouts made sure they saw us coming. This is an insult." They think one small ship can face the might of the Kefir Empire. The tactical officer brought up more information on the approaching ship. Sir, it appears to be a frigate-class vessel, maybe 300 meters long. Standard human design based on our intelligence files. Zaxthel laughed, but there was no humor in it. 300 meters. The Worldbreaker is 10 times that size. We have weapons that could cut their ship in half with one shot. What are they thinking? Maybe they plan to surrender, suggested the communications officer. Maybe they hope to negotiate. Then they will learn that the Kefir do not negotiate with inferiors, Zaxthel said. Bring us to full power. Charge all weapons. I want these humans to see what real power looks like before they die. The bridge came alive with activity. Warning lights flashed red as the ship's massive engines powered up. The Worldbreaker dropped its stealth mode and revealed itself to the human sensors. 3 kilometers of armored death hanging in the asteroid field like a waiting predator. Sir, the human ship has changed course. It is heading directly for us, the sensor officer reported. Good, they accept the challenge. How long until they reach us? At their current speed, 47 minutes, sir. Zaxthel nodded. More than enough time to prepare our victory speech. Open a channel to the hegemony fleet. I want them to witness the destruction of humanity's first and last defense. The communications officer worked at his controls. Channel open, sir. Admiral Kreen's face appeared on screen again, along with several other Kefir commanders. Captain, you seem excited. Have the humans surprised you? No, Admiral. They have insulted us. They send one small ship against the Worldbreaker. I plan to make an example of them that the galaxy will not forget. Excellent. Make it quick, Captain. We have other worlds to conquer. The connection closed. Zaxthel turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. This will be quick, but it will also be memorable. These humans will learn what happens when you face the Kefir Empire with arrogance instead of fear. As the minutes passed, the human ship grew larger on the sensors. It was indeed a frigate, as their intelligence had suggested. It looked simple compared to Kefir designs. No decorative spikes or intimidating weapons visible on the hull. Just a basic military vessel that could have been built by any of a dozen species they had conquered. Sir, the weapons officer called out. All weapon systems are charged and ready. We have enough firepower to destroy that ship 100 times over. Perfect. But do not destroy them too quickly. I want them to suffer for their insult. Target their engines first, disable them. Then we will take our time with the rest. The tactical officer was studying his screens with a puzzled expression. Sir, something is strange about their approach. What do you mean? They are not trying to hide. They are not using any evasive maneuvers. They are flying straight toward us at maximum speed. It is almost like they want us to see them coming. Zaxthel considered this. Maybe they are trying to intimidate us with their boldness. Some species think that showing no fear will make their enemies hesitate. They are wrong. Or maybe they have a plan we do not understand, the tactical officer said quietly. What plan could they have? They have one small ship. We have the most powerful dreadnought in the galaxy. There is no plan that can overcome such a difference in power. But even as he said the words, Zaxthel felt a small doubt creep into his mind. In all his years of conquest, he had learned to trust his instincts. And his instincts were telling him that something about this situation was not right. Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel, the communications officer announced. Put it through. Let us hear what these foolish humans have to say. The main screen flickered and changed. A human face appeared. It was a female with short dark hair and calm brown eyes. She wore a simple military uniform with captain's insignia. Behind her, Zaxthel could see a clean, efficient bridge with humans working at their stations. I am Captain Sarah Chunov. The United Human Space Forces ship Indomitable, the woman said. Her voice was steady and professional. You are in violation of human space. I am ordering you to power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Zaxthel stared at the screen in disbelief. Then he began to laugh. His crew joined in. The sound echoed through the bridge like the howling of predators. "You order us?" Zaxthel said when he could speak again. "You order the mighty Worldbreaker to withdraw? Human, do you have any idea what you are facing?" "I know exactly what I'm facing," Captain Chin replied. Her expression did not change. "The question is, do you know what you're facing?" This made Zaxthel laugh even harder. "I am facing one small ship crewed by primitives who think they can challenge the Kethver Empire. I am facing insects who need to be crushed before they forget their place in the galaxy." "I see," Captain Chun said. "Then you've made your choice. I tried to give you a chance to leave peacefully." "Peaceful?" Zaxthel stood up from his command chair. "There will be no peace for you, human. There will only be death and slavery for your people. You should have stayed on your little planet and tended your farms. Space belongs to warriors, not to weak mammals who think they can play at war." Captain Ching was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, but somehow more dangerous. "Captain, you've made one critical error. You've assumed that humans are weak because we're new to space. You've assumed that one ship means we're desperate or arrogant. But you're wrong about both things. Then enlighten me, human. What great secret do you think will save you?" "The secret is simple," Captain Chun said. "Humans don't build ships to win battles. We build ships to ensure that no matter what we face, at least one of our ships makes it through. And when humanity sends only one ship, it means that one ship is all we need." The transmission ended. The screen went black. Zaxthel stared at the empty screen for a long moment. Then he shook his head and returned to his chair. "Human philosophy. They think words can defeat weapons. They think courage can overcome superior firepower. They will learn otherwise." But as he looked at the approaching human ship, Zaxthel could not shake the feeling that he was missing something important, something that might change everything. "How long until they reach weapons range?" he asked. 12 minutes, sir." "Good, ready all weapons. It is time to teach these humans the price of their arrogance." The Worldbreaker prepared for battle, its massive guns turning toward the approaching human ship. But in the depths of space, the Indomitable continued its steady approach, showing no fear, no hesitation, and no sign of surrender. The bridge of the Worldbreaker hummed with deadly energy. Every weapon system was charged and ready. The massive ship's guns could punch holes through a moon, and all of them were pointed at the approaching human vessel. Captain Zaxthel felt the familiar rush of coming victory. Soon, this insult would be answered with fire and death. "Sir, the human ship has entered our maximum weapons range," the weapons officer reported. His 4 hands moved over the controls with practiced skill. "All targeting systems have locked onto their vessel." Zaxthel nodded slowly. Through the main view screen, he could see the human ship as more than just a dot now. It was indeed small compared to the Worldbreaker. The Indomitable looked like a simple military design with clean lines and no unnecessary decorations. It seemed almost peaceful compared to the brutal angles and weapon spikes of Kethver ships. "They still show no sign of changing course or slowing down," the tactical officer observed. "Sir, they are heading straight for us at full speed. This is not normal behavior for any species we have encountered." "Perhaps they have accepted their fate," Zaxthel said. But something about the human ship's steady approach bothered him. Most species would try to run when they saw the Worldbreaker. Others would attempt to negotiate. Some would attack desperately, from long range. But this calm, direct approach was different. "Sir, incoming transmission from the human vessel again," the communications officer announced. "Put it through. Let us hear their final words before they die." Captain Chian's face appeared on the screen again. She looked exactly the same as before. Calm, professional, unafraid. Behind her, the human bridge continued to operate with quiet efficiency. "Captain Zaxthel," she said, "I'm giving you one last chance to withdraw. Your ship is powerful, but you're about to make a mistake that will cost many lives, both yours and mine." Zaxthel laughed. "Human, you speak of mistakes? The only mistake here is your decision to challenge the Kethver Empire with one small ship. Do you see our weapons? Do you understand the power you face? I see your weapons, Captain Chun replied. Impressive. Your ship could probably destroy a small fleet with those guns. But Captain, you're still thinking about this the wrong way. What way should I think about it? You're thinking like someone who builds ships to intimidate enemies, someone who believes bigger is always better. Humans don't think that way. We build our ships for one purpose, to complete the mission no matter what stands in our way. Zaxthil S. Patience was running out. Enough philosophy, human. You have 1 minute to surrender unconditionally. After that, we will take your ship apart piece by piece. Captain Chun was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that chilled Zaxthil. Despite himself, Captain, my ship's computers have been analyzing yours since we entered the system. We know your weapons range, your firing patterns, your engine output, and your armor thickness. We've studied ships like yours for months. We know exactly how to kill them. You know how to kill a Kethver dreadnought? Zaxthil could not hide his amusement. Please enlighten me. I'd rather show you, Captain Chun said. But first, let me ask you something. In all your battles, in all your conquests, have you ever faced a species that was designed by evolution to be persistence hunters? What does that mean? It means we don't give up. Ever. When humans decide something needs to die, we keep coming. Until it's dead, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it costs us. Captain Chin's expression remained calm, but her eyes seemed to burn with an inner fire. You wanted to know what one human ship can do against your dreadnought. You're about to find out. The transmission ended. Zaxthil stared at the blank screen for several seconds. Then he shook his head and returned his attention to the battle. Human bravado. They think words can save them. Weapons officer, fire a warning shot across there. Bo, show them what our guns can do. Yes, sir. One of the Worldbreaker's smaller cannons fired. A beam of superheated plasma streaked across space, missing the Indomitable by less than a kilometer. The energy was enough to vaporize a city block. It was meant to terrify the humans into surrender. The human ship did not slow down. It did not change course. It continued its steady approach as if nothing had happened. Sir, they are not responding. To our warning, the weapons officer said. Should I target their engines? Before Zaxthil could answer, something unexpected happened. The human ship suddenly accelerated. Its engines flared brighter, and it began moving faster toward the Worldbreaker. What are they doing? Zaxthil demanded. Why are they speeding up? The tactical officer checked his instruments. Sir, they have increased speed by 30%. At this rate, they will reach us in less than 8 minutes. Are they planning to ram us? That would be suicide. Unknown, sir. But they are definitely closing distance faster than we expected. Zaxthil felt the first stirring of real concern. All weapons, target the human ship, full barrage. I want it destroyed immediately. Yes, sir, firing all weapons. The Worldbreaker unleashed hell. Dozens of plasma cannons fired at once. Energy. Beams that could crack a planet's crust, all focused on the small human ship. The space around the Indomitable lit up like a star as the massive volley reached its target. But when the light faded, the human ship was still there. Impossible, Zaxthil whispered. No ship that size could survive that barrage. Sir, sensors show the human vessel took damage to its outer hull, but its main structure is intact, the sensor officer reported. His voice sounded confused. Their armor is much stronger than our intelligence suggested. How much stronger? Sir, based on what we just saw, their hull could probably withstand 10 times the punishment we expected. Zaxthil gripped the arms of his command chair. Fire again, full power. Continuous barrage. The Worldbreaker's guns fired again and again. Beam after beam of deadly energy reached out toward the human ship, but the Indomitable kept coming. Its hull glowed red-hot from the impacts, but it did not break apart. It did not explode. It just kept flying straight toward them. Sir, the human ship is returning fire, the tactical officer announced. On the screen, Zaxthil could see small flashes of light coming from the Indomitable. The human weapons looked tiny compared to the Worldbreaker's massive guns. Their weapons cannot possibly hurt us, Zaxthel said. Our armor is too thick. But then alarms began to sound throughout the bridge. Sir, we have lost weapon battery 7, the damage control officer reported. Direct hit to the targeting system. What? How? Unknown, sir. The human weapon was much smaller than ours, but it hit exactly the right spot to disable the entire battery. Zaxthel stared at the tactical display. One of his weapon systems was shown in red, completely offline. Coincidence. Fire all remaining weapons. Destroy that ship now. The Worldbreaker fired again. This time, the human ship did something that shocked everyone on the bridge. Instead of taking the hit, it dodged. The Indomitable suddenly changed direction, moving so fast that half the Kethver shots missed completely. How did they move so quickly? Zaxthel demanded. Their ship should not be that maneuverable. Sir, our targeting computers cannot keep up with their movements, the weapons officer admitted. They seem to know exactly when and where we are going to fire. The human ship fired again. Another precise shot hit another Kethver weapon battery. Then another. Each shot was small, but each one hit exactly the right spot to cause maximum damage. Sir, we have lost batteries 7, 12, and 15, damage control reported. The humans are targeting our weapons with incredible accuracy. Zaxthel felt something he had not experienced in years. Fear. How are they doing this? How do they know where to hit us? His tactical officer looked up from his instruments with worry in all 4 eyes. Sir, I think they were telling the truth. They have studied our ships. They know exactly where our weak points are. The Indomitable was much closer now. Close enough that Zaxthel could see details of its hull through the viewscreen. The human ship looked battered from the energy barrage, but it was still fighting, still coming closer. Sir, incoming transmission from the human ship, communications. Announced, put it through. Captain Chin's face appeared again. This time, her bridge showed signs of battle damage. Sparks fell from damaged equipment and some of her crew had injuries, but her expression was still calm. Captain Zaxthel, you've seen what one human ship can do. We've disabled a quarter of your weapons, and we're just getting started. I'm offering you one final chance to surrender. Surrender? Zaxthel could not believe what he was hearing. You want us to surrender? Your ship is damaged. You are outnumbered. You have no chance of victory. Captain, you still don't understand, Chun said. This isn't about winning or losing. This is about completing the mission. My mission is to protect the human colony. Your ship threatens that colony. Therefore, your ship has to be destroyed. One ship cannot destroy a dreadnought. One human ship can destroy anything, Captain Chun replied. We didn't build the Indomitable to fight fair battles. We built it to kill ships exactly like yours. Every weapon, every system, every piece of armor was designed with one goal, to hunt down and destroy the biggest, most dangerous ships in the galaxy. Zaxthel felt a chill run down his spine. You're saying your ship was built specifically to kill dreadnoughts? Not just dreadnoughts, anything that threatens human space. You see, Captain, humans learn something important from studying galactic history. The biggest threat to any new species comes from ships like yours. Massive vessels that can destroy entire fleets, so we built ship killers. Vessels designed to take down anything, no matter how big or how powerful. The human. Captain paused, then continued. Your ship is impressive, but it was built to intimidate and overwhelm weaker opponents. My ship was built to kill things that can't be intimidated or overwhelmed. That's the difference between us. The transmission ended, and immediately the human ship fired again. This time, multiple shots hit different parts of the Worldbreaker. More weapon batteries went offline, more systems failed. Sir, we have lost 30% of our offensive capability, the weapons officer reported. At this rate, we will be defenseless in 20 minutes. Zaxthel stood up from his command chair. Around him, his bridge crew worked desperately to maintain their ship's fighting ability. Damage reports came in constantly. The mighty Worldbreaker, terror of the galaxy, was being taken apart piece by a single human vessel. All batteries. Concentrate fire on their engine section, he ordered. If we can disable their propulsion, we can finish them. Sir, they keep moving. Our targeting systems cannot get a solid lock. Then fire manually. Saturate the area around them. They cannot dodge forever. The Worldbreaker's remaining weapons opened fire in a desperate barrage. Energy beams filled the space around the human ship. Some shots hit, causing more damage to the Indomitable's hull, but the human ship kept fighting. Sir, the human vessel is now within close combat range, the tactical officer announced. They are beginning attack pattern beta. What is attack? Pattern beta? Unknown, sir. We have never seen this tactic before. On the view screen, Zaxthel watched the Indomitable perform maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship its size. It flew around the Worldbreaker like a predator circling its prey, firing continuously at specific targets. Each shot was precise. Each hit caused exactly the damage the humans intended. Sir, they have disabled our main targeting computer. Damage control reported. We are reduced to manual fire control only. Sir, engine room reports damage to the primary reactor containment, another officer called out. We are losing power. Sir, the humans have taken out our communication array. We cannot contact the fleet. Zaxthel listened to the reports with growing horror. The human ship was not just attacking randomly. It was systematically destroying the Worldbreaker's ability to fight back. Every shot was calculated. Every hit served a purpose. How long have they been planning this? He asked quietly. The tactical officer looked up from his damaged console. Sir, based on their precision and knowledge of our systems, I would estimate. They have been preparing for this exact battle for months. Maybe years? Years? But humans have only been in space for a short time. Yes, sir. Which means they have been preparing to fight us since almost the moment they achieved spaceflight. Zaxthel felt the weight of that realization. While the Kethver Empire had dismissed humans as primitive newcomers, the humans had been studying, planning, and preparing. They had built ships specifically designed to kill Kethver dreadnoughts. They had trained crews specifically to fight this battle. Sir, the human ship is hailing us again, communications reported through a damaged speaker. Put it through. Captain Chun's image flickered onto the damaged main screen. Her bridge looked worse now, with more damage and more injured crew, but she was still there, still fighting. Captain Zaxthel, your ship is crippled. Your weapons are failing. Your crew is in danger. This doesn't have to end with everyone dying. Power down your remaining weapons and prepare to be boarded. Never, Zaxthel snarled. The Kethver do not surrender to inferior species. Then you've chosen to die for pride instead of living to learn, Captain Chun said sadly. I'm sorry. It has to end this way. The transmission cut off, and the human ship moved into position for what looked like a final attack. But instead of firing, it just waited, hovering near the crippled Worldbreaker like a patient predator. Zaxthel realized that Captain Chun was giving him time to think. Time to understand what had happened. Time to make a choice. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. The mighty Worldbreaker, once the terror of 3 star systems, drifted helplessly in space. And nearby, one small human ship held the power of life and death over them all. For the first time in his military career, Captain Zaxthel began to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not weak. They were not primitive. They were predators who had been hiding their true nature until the moment of attack. And now it was too late to change anything. The silence on the bridge of the Worldbreaker was broken only by the sound of sparking electronics and the hum of failing life support systems. Captain Zaxthel stared at the tactical display, watching as system after system showed red warning lights. His mighty dreadnought was dying around him, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. Damage report, he said quietly. His damage control officer looked up from his console with fear in his eyes. Sir, we have lost 60% of our weapon systems. Main engines are operating at 20% power. Hull breaches on decks 7 through 15. The reactor is stable, but the containment field is weakening. Zaxthil closed his eyes for a moment. The Worldbreaker had fought in dozens of battles across the galaxy. It had destroyed entire fleets, it had reduced planets to ash, and now one human ship had brought it to the edge of destruction in less than an hour. "Sir, the human vessel is moving again," the sensor officer reported on the main view screen. Zaxthil watched the Indomitable glide closer to his crippled ship. The human vessel moved with the confidence of a predator that knew its prey was helpless. Its hull was scarred and blackened from the battle, but it still functioned perfectly. "What are they doing?" Zaxthil asked. "Unknown, sir. They are positioning themselves near our main docking bay." "Are they planning to board us?" Before anyone could answer, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed red as new warnings appeared on every console. "Sir, they are targeting our reactor containment system," the weapons officer announced with panic in his voice. "If they breach the containment field, the reactor will go critical." Zaxthil felt his blood turn cold. A reactor explosion would not just destroy the Worldbreaker. It would vaporize everything within 1,000 kilometers, including the human ship. Why would they target the reactor? He demanded. They would die too. The tactical officer looked up from his instruments. "Sir, I do not think they plan to destroy the reactor. I think they are showing us that they could destroy it if they wanted to." "What do you mean?" "Their weapons are locked onto the exact points that would cause a containment failure, but they are not firing." "They are waiting," Zaxthil understood. The humans were not trying to kill his crew. They were demonstrating their complete control over the situation. They could end the battle whenever they chose, in whatever way they chose. "Incoming transmission from the human ship," communications announced. "Put it through." Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen once more. This time she looked tired. The battle had taken its toll on her and her crew, but her resolve had not weakened. "Captain Zaxthil, I want you to understand something," she began. "My ship could have destroyed yours in the first 5 minutes of this battle. We have weapons that could crack your reactor like an egg. We have missiles that could turn your hull into scrap metal. But we chose not to use them." "Why?" Zaxthil asked. The question came out as barely a whisper. "Because destroying you was never the point. The point was to send a message. Not just to you, but to every species in the galaxy that might be watching. This battle," Captain Chun paused, then continued. "You came here expecting to find weak, frightened colonists who would surrender without a fight. Instead, you found something else entirely. You found humans. And now you understand what that means." "What does it mean?" Zaxthil found himself asking, though he was not sure he wanted to hear the answer. "It means that humanity does not build ships to conquer other worlds. We build ships to protect our own. It means that when someone threatens human space, they do not face armies or fleets, they face hunters. Ships designed specifically to kill whatever threatens us." The human captain gestured to something off-screen, and her tactical officer appeared beside her. He was a young human male with serious eyes and steady hands. "Lieutenant Morrison, please explain to Captain Zaxthil how long your team spent preparing for this battle." The young officer looked directly at Zaxthil. "Sir, my team has been studying Kethver ship designs for 8 months. We analyzed every battle you have fought in the last 10 years. We studied your tactics, your weapons, your armor, and your crew training methods. We built computer models of ships like yours and ran thousands of combat simulations." 8 months? Zaxthil repeated. "But humans have only been aware of our existence for 6 months." "No, sir," Lieutenant Morrison corrected. "Humans have been aware of the Kethver Empire for over 2 years. We have been watching you, learning about you, preparing for the day when you would come for us." Captain Chun nodded. "You see, Captain, humans learned something important when we first detected radio signals from other worlds. We learned that the galaxy was full of predators, species that had built vast empires by conquering weaker civilizations. We knew that eventually one of those predators would come for us." "So you prepared for war?" Zaxthil said. "We prepared to survive," Captain Chun corrected. There is a difference. We did not build a fleet to invade other worlds. We built ships to ensure that any species which attacked human space would regret that decision. The transmission paused while Captain Chun consulted with her crew. Zaxthel could hear voices in the background discussing technical matters he did not understand. When she returned her attention to him, her expression was grave. "Captain, I am going to tell you something that no alien species has ever learned about humanity. I am going to tell you why one human ship was enough to defeat your dreadnought." Zaxthel leaned forward in his command chair, despite himself. Every human military vessel is designed with one primary mission: ensure that at least one human ship survives any encounter. Not wins, survives. Because as long as one human ship makes it through, humanity learns, we adapt, we improve. And we make sure that the next encounter goes differently. Captain Chun paused to let that sink in. Your ship was built to destroy fleets of weaker vessels. Our ship was built to kill yours. Specifically yours. We studied Kethver dreadnoughts. For months. We identified every weakness, every vulnerability, every design flaw. Then we built a ship designed to exploit those weaknesses. "But you could not have known we would come here," Zaxthel protested. "How could you prepare for this specific battle?" "We did not prepare for this specific battle," Captain Chun replied. "We prepared for every possible battle. The Indomitable is not the only ship like this. Humanity has built hunters for every major ship class used by every aggressive species in the galaxy. Somewhere in human space there is a ship designed specifically to kill whatever vessel you send against us." Zaxthel felt a chill run through his entire body. "How many ships like yours do humans have?" "Enough," Captain Chun said simply. "But that is not the important question. The important question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge?" "What do you mean?" "I mean that you have a choice to make. You can continue fighting, and my ship will destroy yours. Your crew will die, and the Kethver Empire will lose one of its most powerful vessels. Or you can choose to live and learn." "Learn what?" "Learn that humanity is not like the other species you have conquered. Learn that we do not fight wars the same way others do. Learn that when humans say we will defend ourselves, we mean something very different than what you think. We mean—" Captain Chun leaned forward and her voice became more intense. "Captain, your empire has conquered dozens of worlds. You have enslaved entire civilizations. You have built your power on the fear and suffering of others. But you have never faced a species like humanity. What makes humans so different?" Zaxthel asked. "Evolution," Captain Chun replied. "Every other species you have conquered evolved in environments where strength and aggression were the keys to survival. They built empires because that was what their nature demanded." She paused, then continued. "Humans evolved differently. We evolved as persistence hunters on a world full of predators stronger and faster than we were. We learned to outlast our enemies instead of overpowering them. We learned to think, to plan, to adapt. Most importantly, we learned that survival sometimes requires making choices that others would consider impossible." "What kind of choices?" "The choice to sacrifice everything to ensure that something of humanity survives. The choice to spend years preparing for a single battle. The choice to build weapons that can kill gods if necessary." Captain Chun gestured toward the tactical display visible behind her. "Your ship represents the pinnacle of Kethver military engineering. It has taken your empire decades to build ships like this. It has cost enormous resources. It carries thousands of trained warriors." "Yes," Zaxthel agreed. "My ship cost a fraction of that to build. It carries a crew of 300. And it was designed to do one thing: kill ships like yours. That is the difference between building for conquest and building for survival." The human captain stood up from her command chair. "Captain Zaxthel, this battle is over. Your ship is crippled. Your crew is in danger. Your mission has failed. But you still have one choice left to make." "What choice?" "You can choose to be the first Kethver captain to survive an encounter with a human ship killer. You can return to your empire with a message that will save countless lives on both sides. What message? That humanity is not prey. We are not weak colonists waiting to be enslaved. We are hunters who have been preparing for this moment since the day we first looked up at the stars. And if the Kethver Empire wants war with humanity, they will get a kind of war they have never seen. Captain Chun sat back down. Your choice, Captain. Die here with honor, or live to carry a warning that might prevent a war that would destroy both our species. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge of the Worldbreaker in silence. Zaxthel looked around at his crew. These were warriors who had followed him through dozens of battles. They had trusted him to lead them to victory. Instead, he had led them into a trap they never saw coming. Sir, his tactical officer said quietly, what are your orders? Zaxthel stared at the view screen where the human ship waited patiently for his decision. He thought about his empire, built on centuries of conquest and domination. He thought about the thousands of worlds that had fallen to Kethver fleets. He thought about the pride and tradition of his people. Then he thought about Captain Chun's words, about ships designed specifically to kill whatever threatened humanity, about a species that had been preparing for this war since before they knew it would happen. For the first time in his life, Captain Zaxthel began to understand what it meant to face a true predator. Sir, his tactical officer prompted. Zaxthel closed his eyes and made the hardest decision of his military career. Power down all weapons, he said quietly. Prepare to transmit our surrender. Around him, his crew stared in shock, but they obeyed. One by one, the Worldbreaker's remaining weapons powered down. The great dreadnought that had terrorized the galaxy lowered its claws in defeat, and in the darkness of space, the human ship waited to see what would happen next. The bridge of the Worldbreaker felt like a tomb. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows across the faces of the Kethver crew as they watched their captain make the most difficult decision of his life. Captain Zaxthel stood before the main view screen, looking at the human ship that had brought his mighty dreadnought to its knees. Sir, all weapons are powered down, the weapons officer reported. His voice was hollow with defeat. We are defenseless. Zaxthel nodded slowly. Around him, his crew waited in silence. These were warriors who had never known defeat. They had conquered worlds and enslaved entire species. The idea of surrender was foreign to everything they had been taught. Open a channel to the human ship. Zaxthel ordered, Channel open, sir. Captain Chen's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, the human bridge showed the same battle damage as before, but her crew worked with calm efficiency. They did not celebrate their victory. They simply continued their duties. Captain Zaxthel, she said, I am receiving your surrender signal. Before we proceed, I need to know something. Do you understand what happened here today? Zaxthel considered the question carefully. I understand that my ship has been defeated by yours. That is not what I asked, Captain Chun replied. Do you understand why your ship was defeated? The Kethver captain was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different than before. Quieter, more thoughtful. I understand that. Humans are not what we believe them to be. I understand that you have been preparing for this battle long before we knew you existed. I understand that my empire has made a terrible mistake. What mistake? We assumed that all species think like us. We assume that power comes from building bigger ships and carrying bigger weapons. We assumed that humans would fight like every other species we have conquered. Captain Chun nodded. And now? Now I understand that humans fight like nothing we have ever encountered. You do not fight to conquer. You fight to survive. And that makes you far more dangerous than any empire we have faced. Why does that make us more dangerous? Zaxthel looked around his ruined bridge before answering. Because empires fight for glory and profit. They fight until the cost becomes too high. But species fighting for survival never stop. They fight until either they win or they are extinct. Very good, Captain Chun said. You are learning. Now, let me ask you another question. What do you think will happen when you return to your empire with this story? They will not believe me, Zaxthel said immediately. They will think I am a coward who surrendered rather than die with honor. They will say that one ship cannot defeat a dreadnought. And what will you tell them? I will tell them the truth. That humanity has built ships specifically designed to kill Kethver vessels. That we are not facing weak colonists, but hunters who have been preparing for war since before they knew we existed. Captain Chun leaned forward in her chair. Captain, I want you to understand something very important. This battle was not about your ship or my ship. This battle was about sending a message to your entire empire. What message? That humanity will not be conquered. That any fleet you send against us will be destroyed. That your empire has encountered something it has never faced before, a species that cannot be intimidated, cannot be overwhelmed, and will never surrender. She paused, then continued. But this message comes with an offer as well. What offer? Peace. If your empire withdraws from human space and leaves us alone, we will do the same. Humans have no interest in conquering Kethver worlds. We have no desire to build an empire. We simply want to be left alone to grow and explore in our own way. Zaxthel felt a spark of hope. And if my empire refuses this offer? Captain Chun's expression became cold and hard. Then your empire will learn what total war means to a species that fights for survival. The human captain stood up and walked closer to the screen. Captain, let me tell you what will happen if the Kethver Empire chooses war with humanity. Your fleets will attack our worlds, expecting to face desperate defenders with inferior weapons. Instead, they will face ships like mine, ship killers built specifically to destroy whatever you send against us. How many ships like yours do humans have? Zaxthel asked. Enough to hunt down every major vessel in your fleet. Enough to ensure that for every human world you attack, we destroy 10 of your ships. Enough to make your empire bleed until it collapses from within. Captain Chun returned to her chair. But it will not stop there. You see, Captain, your empire made one critical error when it decided to threaten humanity. What error? You revealed yourselves to a species of persistence hunters. Do you know what that means? Zaxthel shook his head. It means that once humans decide something is a threat, we do not stop hunting it until it is dead. If your empire wages war on humanity, we will not just defend ourselves. We will hunt down every Kethver ship in the galaxy. We will track your fleets to their home bases. We will follow them to your core worlds. The human captain's voice became even more intense. And when we find your home worlds, we will not conquer them. We will not enslave your people. We will offer them the same choice we are offering you now, peace or extinction. Zaxthel felt his blood turn cold. You would commit genocide? We would commit survival, Captain Chun corrected. There is a difference. If your empire chooses to wage a war of extinction against humanity, then humanity will respond in kind. We will not allow our species to be destroyed by yours or anyone else. She leaned back in her chair. But it does not have to come to that. Your empire can choose a different path. You can choose to coexist with humanity rather than trying to conquer us. My people will not understand this choice, Zaxthel said. The Kethver have never backed down from a fight. We have never negotiated with inferior species. Then perhaps it is time for your people to learn that humans are not inferior, Captain Chun replied. Perhaps it is time for them to learn that the galaxy has room for more than one apex predator. The human captain consulted with someone off-screen, then returned her attention to Zaxthel. Captain, I am going to do something that has never been done before in the history of galactic warfare. I'm going to let you and your crew live. I'm going to repair your ship enough for you to return home. And I'm going to give you a gift to take back to your empire. What gift? Knowledge. Complete technical specifications of my ship. Detailed analysis of how we defeated yours. Tactical reports of this entire battle. Everything your military leaders need to understand exactly what they would be facing if they choose war with humanity. Zaxthel stared at her in disbelief. You would give us your military secrets? I am giving you the truth. Because the truth is more powerful than any weapon. When your leaders see what one human ship did to your most powerful dreadnought, they will understand what 1,000 such ships could do to your entire fleet. Captain Chun smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. Besides, Captain, these specifications will not help you build better weapons against us. By the time you could use this knowledge, we will have built ships that make the Indomitable look like a child's toy. You are already building more advanced ships? We never stop building more advanced ships. That is what survival species do. We adapt, we improve, we prepare for threats that do not even exist yet. The human captain stood up again. Captain Zaxthel, you have a choice to make. You can return to your empire as the captain who surrendered to humans and be branded a coward. Or you can return as the captain who discovered the most important intelligence in Kethver history and potentially saved your entire species from extinction. How do I convince them that you are telling the truth? You show them the wreckage of your ship. You show them the technical specifications of mine. You show them the tactical recordings of this battle. And you tell them that this was just one ship, one crew, one example of what humanity can do when threatened. Captain Chun walked closer to the screen. Most importantly, you tell them that humanity does not want war. We want to explore the galaxy peacefully. We want to build new worlds and discover new things. But if war is forced upon us, we will fight it in a way that will terrify every species in the galaxy. Why are you sparing us? Zaxthel asked. Why not just destroy my ship and crew? Because dead messengers cannot deliver messages, Captain Chun replied. Your death would teach your empire nothing. Your survival teaches them everything they need to know. The human captain returned to her chair one final time. Captain, in 1 hour, my engineering teams will dock with your ship. They will repair your engines and life support systems. They will provide you with enough fuel to reach Kethver space. And they will give you the data package I promised. And then? Then you will leave human space and never return. You will carry our message to your empire. And you will pray that your leaders are wise enough to listen. Captain Chun leaned forward. Because if they are not wise enough to listen, then the next time Kethver ships enter human space, there will be no warnings, no offers of peace, no survivors to carry messages home. The transmission ended, leaving Zaxthel alone with his thoughts and his defeated crew. The Kethver captain looked around his ruined bridge. Sparks still fell from damaged systems. Emergency lights still flashed their warnings. The smell of burned electronics filled the air. But his crew was alive. His ship would fly again. And he had a message to deliver that might prevent a war that would destroy everything both species had built. Sir, his tactical officer said. Quietly, what are your orders? Zaxthel straightened his shoulders and tried to find some dignity in defeat. Prepare to receive the human repair teams. Cooperate with them fully. Record everything they do. Document everything they say. We have much to learn and little time to learn it. He turned to look at the human ship on the view screen. And prepare a full battle report, every detail, every moment, every word spoken. The High Command must understand exactly what happened here today. Yes, sir? And sir? What? What should we tell them about the humans? Zaxthel was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of hard-learned wisdom. We tell them the truth. That we came here expecting to fight colonists and instead we found apex predators. We tell them that humanity has been preparing for this war since before we knew they existed. And we tell them that if the Kethver Empire wants to survive, it must choose a different path than conquest. The tactical officer nodded, and if they do not believe us, then the Kethver Empire will learn the same lesson we learned today. But they will learn it from 1,000 human ships instead of just one. Zaxthel sat back down in his command chair and waited for the human repair teams to arrive. Around him, his crew began the long process of documenting their defeat and preparing to carry the most important message in Kethver history. In the darkness of space, 2 ships waited side by side. One was the hunter, one was the hunted, and both carried the weight of 2 species' futures. 3 days later, Captain Zaxthel stood on the repaired bridge of the Worldbreaker and watched human space disappear behind them. His ship was functional again, though scars from the battle remained visible across its hull. The human repair teams had worked with incredible efficiency, fixing what needed to be fixed and leaving the rest as a reminder of what had happened. "Sir, we have cleared the outer boundary of human space," his navigation officer reported. "Setting course for Kethver territory." "Good, maintain course and speed. I want to reach the High Command as quickly as possible." Zaxthel walked to his command chair, where a small data storage device sat waiting. "It contained everything, Captain?" Chun had promised. "Complete technical specifications of the human ship, detailed analysis of their tactics, recordings of the entire battle, and most importantly, a message from humanity to the Kethver Empire." He picked up the device and held it in his hand. Such a small thing to carry the weight of two civilizations. "Sir," his communications officer called out. "Incoming transmission from the fleet. Admiral Crean wants a status report." Zaxthel closed his eyes for a moment. He had been dreading this conversation. "Put him through." Admiral Crean's scarred face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Zaxthel could see the bridge of the flagship, surrounded by other Kethver vessels. The fleet was waiting for news of victory. "Captain Zaxthel, you have been silent for 3 days. Report your status." "Have you conquered the human colony?" "Admiral, I need to speak with you privately. What I have to report cannot be shared over open channels." The Admiral's expression darkened. "Explain yourself, Captain." "The mission has failed, sir. The Worldbreaker was defeated in battle with a single human vessel. I am returning with critical intelligence that the High Command must review immediately." Silence fell over the Admiral's bridge. Zaxthel could see other officers in the background stopping their work to listen. "You were defeated by one ship?" Admiral Crean's voice was dangerously quiet. "Yes, sir." "Admiral, what I learned about humanity changes everything. They are not what we believe them to be. They are far more dangerous than any species we have ever encountered. Captain, you will report to the flagship immediately upon your return. You will explain how the most powerful ship in our fleet was defeated by primitive mammals. And you will hope that your explanation saves you from a charge of cowardice." The transmission ended, leaving Zaxthel staring at a blank screen. "Sir," his tactical officer said quietly, "the Admiral did not seem receptive to your message." "No, he did not. But the truth does not change based on whether people want to hear it." Zaxthel returned to his chair and activated his personal log. "Captain's log, day 3 of return journey. I continue to review the data provided by the humans. Each time I study their ship specifications, I understand more clearly how completely we underestimated them. The Indomitable was not just a warship. It was a weapon system designed specifically to kill vessels like ours." He paused the recording and looked at his crew. They had been quiet since the battle, processing what they had witnessed. These were veterans who had seen many battles, but none like this. "Sir," his weapons officer spoke up, "I have been analyzing the human tactics. They knew exactly where to hit us to cause maximum damage with minimum firepower. It was like they had studied our ship's blueprints for years." "They had," Zaxthel replied. "Captain Chin told us they had been preparing for this battle for months, maybe years. While we dismissed them as primitives, they were learning everything about us." "But how did they know we would come? How could they prepare for a specific battle?" "They did not prepare for a specific battle. They prepared for every possible battle. That is what makes them so dangerous." Zaxthel stood up and walked to the tactical display. It showed their current position and the route back to Kethver space. "The humans think differently than we do. We build ships to conquer, they build ships to survive. We plan for the battles we want to fight. They plan for the battles they might have to fight." His damage control officer looked up from his console. "Sir, if the humans have been studying us for so long, do they have ships designed to fight other Kethver vessels as—" "Well, according to Captain Chun, They have ships designed to fight every major vessel type used by every aggressive species in the galaxy. The bridge fell silent as the crew considered the implications of that statement. How many ships like theirs do you think they have? The tactical officer asked. I do not know, but I suspect it is more than we can handle. 2 weeks later, the Worldbreaker arrived at the Kethver Fleet assembly point. Dozens of massive warships hung in space around the flagship, preparing for what the High Command believed would be an easy conquest of human space. Zaxthel was escorted to Admiral Kreen's ready room under guard. The Admiral sat behind a large desk made from the bones of conquered enemies. Other senior officers stood around the room, their faces showing mixtures of curiosity and disgust. Captain Zaxthel, Admiral Kreen began, you have been charged with cowardice in the face of the enemy. How do you plead? I plead that you listen to what I have learned before passing judgment, sir. Very well. Explain how the mighty Worldbreaker was defeated by one small human ship. Zaxthel placed the data storage device on the Admiral's desk. Admiral, everything you need to know is contained in this device. Complete recordings of the battle, technical specifications of the human vessel, analysis of their tactics and capabilities. Admiral Kreen picked up the device and examined it. And what does this information tell us? It tells us that humanity is not a primitive species we can easily conquer. It tells us that they have been preparing for war with us since before they knew we existed. It tells us that they have built ships specifically designed to kill ours. Impossible. No species has ever built weapons specifically to counter Kethver ships. No species has ever had the motivation to do so, Zaxthel replied. Most species we encounter try to negotiate or surrender. Humans do neither. They fight to survive, and that makes them more dangerous than any empire we have faced. Admiral Kreen activated the data device. Holographic displays filled the room, showing technical diagrams of the human ship. The other officers gathered around to study the information. This cannot be accurate, one officer said. This ship is smaller than our destroyers, but these specifications suggest it could destroy a dreadnought. It did destroy a dreadnought, Zaxthel said. It destroyed mine. And according to the human captain, they have many more like it. Admiral. Kreen studied the tactical recordings of the battle. His expression changed as he watched the Worldbreaker being systematically dismantled by precise, calculated attacks. How did they know exactly where to hit you? He asked. Because they studied our ship designs for months. They identified every weakness, every vulnerability, every design flaw. Then they built a ship specifically to exploit those weaknesses. And they claim to have ships designed to fight other classes of vessels as well? Yes, sir. The human captain told me that they have hunters for every major ship type used by every aggressive species in the galaxy. Admiral Kreen turned off the display and sat back in his chair. Around the room, the other officers whispered among themselves. Captain, even if this information is accurate, it only proves that humans are more dangerous than we thought. It does not prove that we cannot defeat them. Admiral, may I show you something else? Zaxthel activated another section of the data device. A message from Captain Chen appeared in the room. Admiral Kreen, I am Captain Sarah Chun of the United Human Space Forces. If you are viewing this message, it means Captain Zaxthel has successfully delivered our communication to your leadership. The holographic figure of Captain Chun looked directly at Admiral Kreen. I want you to understand that the battle you have just witnessed was not a victory for humanity. It was a demonstration. We could have destroyed the Worldbreaker in the first 5 minutes of combat. We chose not to because we wanted to send a message. Admiral Kreen leaned forward in his chair. The message is simple. Humanity will not be conquered. Any fleet you send against us will be destroyed. Any invasion you attempt will fail, but we do not want war with your empire. Captain Chun paused, then continued. We offer you a choice. Withdraw from human space and leave us in peace, and we will do the same. Continue your aggressive expansion in other directions, and we will not interfere. But if you choose war with humanity, you will face a kind of warfare you have never encountered before. The holographic figure gestured to something off-screen. You have studied our ship specifications. You have seen our capabilities. Now multiply that by 1,000 ships, and you will begin to understand what war with humanity would cost your empire. Admiral Crane stood up from his chair. Furthermore, Admiral, you should know that this message is being transmitted simultaneously to every major power in the galaxy. Everyone will know that the Kethver Empire was offered a choice between peace and destruction. How you respond will determine not just the fate of our species, but your standing among all galactic civilizations. The message ended, leaving the room in silence. Admiral Crane walked to the window and looked out at the assembled fleet. Hundreds of ships waited for his orders. Thousands of warriors prepared for what they believed would be an easy conquest. "Sir," one of the officers said quietly, "what are your orders?" Admiral Crane was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with the weight of decision. "Send a message to all fleet commanders. Cancel the invasion of human space. All ships are to return to base immediately." "Sir?" several officers said at once. "You heard. My orders, the invasion is canceled." But Admiral," another officer protested, "we cannot back down from a fight with primitives. What will the other species think of us?" Admiral Crane turned back to face his officers. "They will think that the Kethver Empire is wise enough to know the difference between a fight we can win and a war that would destroy us." He looked at Zaxthel. "Captain, you are hereby cleared of all charges. Your actions saved not just your crew but potentially our entire empire." Zaxthel nodded gratefully. "Sir, there is one more thing. The humans made it clear that this offer of peace comes with conditions. They will not tolerate any further expansion into their territory. And they will be watching to see how we treat other species." "Meaning?" "Meaning that our days of easy conquest may be over. The galaxy now has a species that will not be intimidated, cannot be overwhelmed, and will not allow others to be destroyed without consequence." Admiral Crane sat back down at his desk and activated his personal communicator. "This is Admiral Crane to High Command. The invasion of human space is cancelled. We have encountered a species that represents a fundamental threat to our expansion strategy. Recommend immediate policy review regarding humanity and all future expansion plans." He closed the communication and looked around the room. "Gentlemen, today we learned that the galaxy has changed. For centuries, the Kethver Empire has been the apex predator in this region of space. Today we discovered that we are no longer alone at the top of the food chain." Admiral Crane stood up and walked to the door. "Captain Zaxthel, you will report to Intelligence Command. They will want to debrief you extensively about everything you learned. Your experience may be the key to ensuring our empire's survival in this new galaxy." As the officers filed out of the room, Admiral Crane remained behind to study the human data one more time. On the display, technical specifications scrolled past, showing weapons and capabilities that challenged everything the Kethver thought they knew about warfare. Outside the windows of the flagship, the invasion fleet began to disperse. Ships that had come to conquer turned around and headed home. The war that might have consumed both species was over before it truly began. And in the depths of space, human listening posts detected the withdrawal of the Kethver fleet. The message was transmitted back to Earth and the colonies. The first test of humanity's new doctrine had succeeded. One ship had been enough to change the course of galactic history. Captain Sarah Chun received the news aboard the Indomitable as it patrolled the outer edges of human space. She stood on her bridge and looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere out there, other species were learning the same lesson the Kethver had learned. Humanity was no longer alone in the galaxy, but they were no longer helpless either. The age of human expansion into the stars had begun, and it would be on humanity's terms. "Captain," her communications officer called out. "Incoming message from Earth Command. They want to know when we can begin construction of the next generation of ship killers." Captain Chun smiled. "Tell them we never stopped building them. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and humanity intends to be ready for whatever comes next." She returned to her command chair and activated her personal log. Captain's log, final entry. Mission accomplished. The Kethver Empire has chosen peace over destruction. Other species throughout the galaxy now know that humanity cannot be conquered easily. The defense of human space has begun, and it will continue until every human world is safe. She paused, then added, "Note for future reference, when humanity sends only one ship, it means that one ship is all we need. But it also means we have 1,000 more just like it waiting in reserve." Captain Chung closed the log and looked out at the stars again. Somewhere in that vast darkness, new threats might be gathering, new empires might be planning to test humanity's resolve. Let them come, she thought. Humanity would be ready. The Indomitable turned and headed back toward the colony it protected, its mission complete but its vigil eternal. In the space it left behind, only empty darkness remained. But that darkness now carried a message that would spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity had arrived among the stars, and they intended to stay.